Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful. When the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
Good morning, everybody. It's the 6th of Tuesday. If I'm honest, I'm feeling a little sleepy today. I don't know. I'm trying to muster up like get you all hype and excited and everything, but I'm just kind of like, maybe that's how the indexes feel too. Come over here to the charts. Look at this. So, oh dear. Sorry, I had a window open. Just changing some settings there. Okay. Yesterday was amazing, but overnight down a little bit. And we're kind of seeing that across the board. All the indexes down. Also, I want to note, yesterday was just amazing, by the way. Great day. Amazing up move. Really solid. RTY did not follow. The small caps did not follow. So I wouldn't say that everything is all sunshine and roses. I'm actually detecting a pretty strong hint of risk off sentiment today. Reading the news squawk and the analysts and everything. Some people think that this is overrun. I think one thing that is also kind of factoring in here. Well, let's go across the curve. So here treasuries are backing off again. There was a little bit of a down here, but treasuries backing off now. Oil's still struggling. And in fact, yesterday, pretty bad. So, there was this whole thing about supply, but apparently now they're deciding that they aren't cutting supply enough, and that is hurting oil. And combined with everything else I'm seeing right now, there's just, a little bit of a risk-off sentiment. Gold and silver are doing okay, I suppose. They recovered this big down move that kind of came out of nowhere, but other than that, it's just kind of going sideways. But copper... The copper today, struggling a little bit too. So it's just kind of like, I don't know. It seems like the world is a little bit risk off. Now, China has been saying they're backing off on liquidity injection. They haven't been putting as much money into their system, and that's been a big driver of the markets over the past little while. So I think that's a big deal. That's something that a lot of people might not pick up on or notice or care about. But that's going to make it harder. It's not just going to be like, all of the markets float up overnight like it has been because of buying from China. And then we come over here to the dollar. So yesterday, the dollar got creamed. A little bit recovery today. I don't know. We'll see. If the dollar could take another dive down here today, that could be really good for equities. But we'll see, right? We shall see. Now, I'm looking here on my main window at my market analyzer. And I'm having a hard time remembering which one is soybeans and which one is corn. I think ZC is corn and ZS is soybeans. Yes, it must be ZS soybeans. But I have to look at it. Okay, copper, oil, gold. I wish that it just said that. But I don't think if I come into columns, I don't think that there's actually like a name. Yeah. Daily volume description. What's description? That's what I wanted. I don't know. We'll figure out the watch list a little bit. Need a little bit. I think there's some stuff missing. We maybe need some other. What else do we potentially need on there? 6J, 6E. I've definitely got everything up that I've got over here, except for all of the treasuries, but that's because I've got them up on the screen. Like I don't necessarily need to see them. I don't necessarily need to have the E-mini up there, for instance. Well, I don't know. We'll watch it as it goes. Okay. Oh yeah, by the way, we should turn on. Oh, that's funny. That when I made that little fake thing for Steve. Oh yeah, let's turn on the live stream in Discord. Morning stream. We'll do that. Oh yes, and turn on the Texas speech so I can see all you guys. Wow, Bitcoin is trading at a huge premium in Korea versus the US, 58K versus 69K in Korea. I didn't realize. But how easy is it to convert my dollars into Korean whatevers? Well, I'm seeing a number of people talking about this too. The kimchi premium is now nearing 20%. What's interesting is that the Japanese premium has been near zero, while as much as 18% in 2017, likely because the market got much more efficient and JPY is just much more free / less restrictive, so arbitrage is much easier. Yeah, probably. It's probably a lot easier to get into Japanese yen than it is the Korean. I'm seeing more than one person talking about this today, though. That's interesting. Oh, got Alligator in here. Hey, man, how are you doing? Hey, Alligator, you want to talk? We should talk if you can. If you have a microphone, because you were one of the first people, man. But if you want to, you just click the little raise your hand button somewhere. I don't know what it looks like. I don't know how it works. I've never been in one where I didn't start it. I don't know, Treasury's pretty quiet today. I don't know what he would say. It's really quiet today. Oh, man. Now, I'm kind of looking at this. I don't feel super awake. I'm less certain about which direction the E-mini is going to go today. Today might be kind of like a hands-off day for me. Today might be kind of hands-off day. Also could make it so that other people can start these in the Discord. That I haven't decided how I want to handle that yet. Piero fake Steve. Yeah, so I have a TikTok account called The Real Stock Market Steve, and on one of the videos that we did was, somebody was saying that he was a fake guru, so I made up a broker statement that was obviously fake. Like I took a regular monthly broker statement and just kind of whited out all of the bad areas and then drew in the numbers by hand so that they looked really bad. And that's what he used to verify that he was a real guru. What about my Tesla and Disney still up yet? Oh, maybe Pierre is saying, what do you mean fake? Yeah, no, I don't know this guy. I don't know if he's for real or not, guys. But the video yesterday was going through it. So I went through the 5 stocks that he had mentioned on last Monday. Because what was it? Tesla, Disney, Viacom, what else did he do? Oh, I think Palantir was on there. Anyways, I went through that list, and like most of them were actually flat. I was surprised. Viacom is still down where it was, and apparently yesterday it puked more. So Viacom not doing so well. So Tesla was the only one that really moved. But it kind of shows you how that kind of trade really screws people up, right? Because Steve only talks about the most popular stocks. So when you only talk about the most popular stocks, like one out of 5 of those will go up like, 20%. But the other ones you'll probably lose just as much, Oh, Disney was the other one that I said on that too, huh? Disney I think is up, but not a ton. And who knows? It's kind of why I'm looking at this market and I'm like, well, I kind of see the hint of some bearish sentiment. And we're still kind of in a situation where it's like, if we drop, it could happen awfully quickly. You know what I mean? So we'll see. We shall see. Anyways, I have a couple of ideas for some skits, but I don't think I'll be able to do that one today. So I think today I'm going to do what your favorite trading platform says about you. Yeah. We'll see. We'll put that kind of, and that can give me a short one, because one of the problems is you get videos that are too long, right? So we can put that little test out, try a short video, see how he does. Should be fun. We can make fun of Robin Hooders. Housing market euphoria craziest in years as inventory sinks to new low. I was reading that a significant portion of the demand in the housing market is not from people that want to live in the houses. That they've commoditized housing, and it's a real problem. And it kind of makes you wonder, because it just makes it that much harder to build new houses, right? I saw this one thing, a TikTok. This guy was complaining about the price of materials, particularly metal materials. And yeah, apparently there are houses that they're stopping halfway through because they don't have the money to finish it. Like between when they decided to start the house and now, the cost for materials has gone up so much that the person building the house decided to back out. And so they're just abandoning these housing projects halfway through. McConnell, I found it completely discouraging to find a bunch of corporate CEOs getting in the middle of politics. My advice to the corporate CEOs of America is to stay out of politics. Don't pick sides in these big fights. Yeah, and they picked sides on an issue that they probably shouldn't have. So I saw a story a week ago. This is interesting, this political thing. I don't know if it really matters, but the whole thing is the Georgia voting law, right? And Democrats claiming that the Georgia voting law is overly restrictive. And when they initially came out, they were really heavy with it. And everybody was like, oh my gosh, how could the Republicans justify passing this awful law? And then, all of the CEOs came out and did all that stuff and that sort of thing. Now, since then, the Republicans have pushed back. And one of the things that's really funny is like a representative or a governor from another state will come in and bash the Georgia voting law. And then the person that they're arguing with will come back and say, well, here are the rules in your state, and they're more restrictive than the new Georgia voting law. So when that happened, a lot of people started, going, oh, wait a second, maybe there's more to this than I thought. And so they've done some surveys, and there was a survey out last night that apparently a majority of Americans actually support the changes that they made in the Georgia voting law. So I was really shocked about that, because it seemed like everybody was just completely falling for the Democrats' line on that one. And it changed so quickly. Yeah. MLB mad about Georgia's racist election law, moves the All-Star game to the whitest city in America. Oh man, I can't imagine what is going through the MLB commissioner's head when he made that decision, because it's going to hurt sales. It's going to hurt sales to some extent. I know. Probably baseball is more popular in liberal cities, but I don't know, man. Places where I can think of where baseball is like still a thing are all liberal places, right? New York, Boston. Am I wrong? I also saw a thing that apparently in Texas, what is their baseball team down there? Rangers? No, that's football. I don't know. But they have a fully packed stadium now down there in Texas, which is like, well, okay, maybe we are full blown back on now, right? I'm gonna take a few bites of food here. Am I wrong? Baseball is more popular in liberal areas? Yeah. Now extending that to maybe something that actually matters to us, right? Yesterday, the Senate parliamentarian, hold on. There's a European monetary policy speaker right now. The Dems hate voter IS. That is what it is all about. Voter ID is what I think what Brad meant to say. Yeah. Well, this one is, here again, off of every survey that I've read, the majority of Americans believe that voter ID should be a thing. And amusingly enough, voter ID is supported by fairly wide margins. I think like 5 to 10%. Even in minority communities where Democrats are saying that it hurts, that it suppresses the vote. So it's kind of funny, but it's like this on a lot of things with policies that Democrats hold that are contrary to the American popular opinion. Is like, for some reason they get a pass on it. You know what I mean? Like moderates and marginal Democrats don't, okay, hold on. Something just happened there. Pretty solid down move. France's Finance Minister Lemaire, we welcome the U.S.'s support for a minimum corporate tax. Oh, did you see this one? Janet Yellen saying that everybody should consider a minimum tax. Oh, I got it. So you want to tax us more, but competition in the free market prevents you from doing so. So you all need to gang up and all have a minimum tax so that people can't do that. Gotcha. I want to keep more of my money. Screw me, right? That was quite a dump. I'm not sure if I want that if I catch that. It didn't come back right away, so there's not enough volume going through at the current moment for me to justify staying in. Oh, by the way, I wanted to try something. Because here I've got this is like the volume and the imbalance and everything. But I think what I actually want is this power meter. Here, I'm going to close this one. I'm going to open this power meter right here. And I can change it. I'm all over the place, aren't I? ADHD. I'm getting there. Don't worry. I'm gonna get there. Okay. So, anyways, yeah. For some reason, there are certain things. The other one is late-term abortions, where the Democrat Party holds an extreme position, but it seems like the larger American public never talks about it. But they always talk about the things that Republicans do that are against the public, like a higher minimum wage, for instance. Is that maybe just my own confirmation bias? I don't know. But anyways, so what was I getting into? The parliamentarian. So the parliamentarian last night ruled that Democrats can use the reconciliation trick more than once. Which I'm not so sure if that's really a correct reading of it. I'm kind of wondering if it's like she's throwing them a bone because she didn't rule their way on the last thing. But if they're allowed to use it more than once, that could be a problem, right? Because they use it to pass this COVID relief thing, and then they're going to want to use it for their infrastructure bill or whatever, So I read a survey, or not a survey, but in the News Squawk rundown, they were talking about a survey by RMBC or whatever. I forget which. It was one of those banks, one of those big banks with that analysis in Europe. And they were showing that something like 95% of managers believed that Democrats would make some change to the corporate tax rate, that they would be successful in doing so. So I had kind of been working off of the assumption that they won't be able to pass it. I actually still think that there's going to be some problems passing it because they're going to have to get Manchin on board. It's the proposal that they've got is not the Biden's proposal. It wouldn't pass. No way. So, but people do seem to think that changes in the tax rate are coming. It seems to me that the market hasn't priced in a change to taxes yet. Don't you think? Don't you think? But so that's kind of coming. And I'm concerned that small caps are going to take it on the nose. And when you look at the action yesterday with, the Russell 2000 underperforming, kind of got to start to wonder about that one, right? We don't know what legislation is going to pass yet. Yeah, well, let's just say that the corporate tax rate increases some amount, right? It's going to have a negative effect on stocks. I don't know how much. I don't know. So that was a pretty quick move down, and I'm seeing the treasuries move up. I think that it could be because France's finance minister Le Maire talking. That's the only news that I've seen come through. Oh, IMF's chief economist Goenpath, the IMF advocates a worldwide minimum corporation tax. That could have been it. Oh yeah, I did see. Uzi was talking about the whole thing, the supposed pay for play thing with vaccines in Florida and everything, and that one died down really quick. And it appears to me that media came out and called that one like a straight up falsehood right from the get go, and they dropped it quickly. That was kind of interesting how quickly that one, because it was horseshit. Yeah, it sounded like it was a total nonsense. But you know how it works, man. Like it's and there's two newspapers, man. I'm telling you. So if it comes from the Washington Times or the New York Post, and it is a leak or a scandalous story, you got to be skeptical from those two newspapers, because they get fed hit jobs all the time, and they don't. It seems to me that they don't really do any kind of critical scrutiny of those stories when they get them. They just run them. Take another little break here. RJ Will talking about Hunter Biden says he doesn't know if that's his laptop. That's a yes. If it, listen, that was confirmed that that was his laptop. The U.S. media kind of looked the other way and didn't talk about it, but it's straight up. There is stuff in there that 100% confirm that it is Hunter Biden's laptop, including cryptographic signatures. I went through and I verified the shit myself. It is his laptop. There is no doubt in my mind. Just saying, doesn't matter, but I'm just saying, because they were bringing it up. Man, you know that I'm bored. I'm talking politics. That must be what it is. No, here the tweet from state media or state propaganda outlet for China, Lihan Zhao, pushing the racism narrative again. You're noticing this a lot from China. Racism is comprehensive, systemic, and persistent in the U.S. White supremacists, neo-Nazis, and Ku Klux Klan members openly used racist slogans to preach white supremacy and cite racial discrimination and hatred. The U.S. committed genocide and crimes against humanity in history. U.S. law enforcement brutality has frequently led to the death of African Americans. Racism is a deep-seated problem in a workplace. Discrimination against ethnic minorities is a prevalent presence across the whole U.S. society. Okay, except for that in China, you have incarcerated an entire fucking race of people. And you're in freaking concentration camps. You're committing a full-on genocide today. Yes, it's true. What happened in the United States 100 years ago with Indians was genocide. Okay, but China, you're doing this stuff today. Nobody cares what happened to the Indians 100 years ago. It's done, it's gone. Oh, I agree. We did a bad thing. Yeah, Chinese propagandists just realized that progressive racial talking points are divisive as all get out. Well, thought for you. Maybe they were coming from China to begin with. Makes you wonder. They certainly it is certainly exaggerating things, but they're just doing exactly what U.S. media does. Okay, so what do you mean? I have noticed that the media outlets that are the most likely to parrot out Chinese talking points are the most likely to also use racial narratives. And I'm suggesting that the Chinese have been trying to stoke racial tensions in the United States for several years now. The racial narrative from Chinese media is mockery. Well, I kind of feel like that what's happened is they've kind of been stealth pushing this for a long time, and now it's a thing, and they're picking up, and now that it's enough of a thing, they feel like they can openly push it, because it's so common in the United States. Uzi says, and I mean, why not? It's so easy. Well, it is. Man, did you see? Oh, so here's another one. Charles Barkley. Did you see the Charles Barkley video? I thought it was so good. I have to say. I know that, that's like now I'm starting to get like really, really, but I totally agreed with him. And what do you know? First thing next day, Reddit. Today I learned that Charles Barkley threw a man out the window, and when he was confronted about it in court, he said, my only regret is that it wasn't a second story window. Oh, okay, so Charles Barkley says something, and immediately the slander campaign against him begins on Reddit. I was just like, oh my, and nobody said anything about it either. The comments were kind of weird because people are like, "What? Well, don't we like Charles Barkley?" It's all very mechanical. It really is, right? It's the clog up search algorithms. Yeah. Well, there's definitely when you look at stuff on Reddit. You're right. I think a lot of it is they use that to manipulate search algorithms. It's not as obvious as it used to be. Man, on Dig, when campaigns like that went through on Dig, it was so obvious that it was intended to manipulate search results. And it was always so annoying because if Republicans do anything to manipulate search results these days, and like they're talking about disinformation campaigns, like the big tech firms are like all on top of it and like, this is a big issue and we need to solve this and fix this and all of these sorts of things. But when the Democrats were doing it, they always just looked the other way, and it drove me nuts. Like we're talking like 2008, 2000 period. When Dig was still a thing, and it was every day. That was what would get me going, man. Was the way they were manipulating search, and nobody did anything about it. And now, a decade later, Republicans do the same thing, and it's like a huge deal. And I'm like, well, you kind of made this problem. Someone says something poignant. All media runs smear pieces so that when someone searches that person to hear that statement. Okay, so let's see what we get if we search for Charles Barkley right now. Oh, ex-NBA star Charles Barkley rips politicians for creating racial division. I think that it would be awfully difficult to get that super negative story about him up to the top of Google search results, but yeah, Jack says I don't give a fuck about Charles Barkley. I thought he said a good thing, but it just kind of sets the stage, right? Just think about it as color. What's the thing that matters here? The thing that matters here is Democrats want to increase corporate taxes. And how are they going to do it? Well, one of the things that they're going to do is they're going to push racial narratives. They're going to say that a low corporate tax rate is a tool of white supremacy. That's what they're going to say. Is it going to be an effective line? I I don't think it will be. But they are going to increase taxes. And they're going to increase taxes on people that they said they weren't going to. I think it depends on how much traction it gets. Like, does it have momentum? Is it trending on Twitter? It starts there. If it does, the Twitterati does. Yeah, the Twitterati. Now that's unfortunate here. One of my algorithms tried to take it long there, and it got stopped out first before it went. This is where I say that like one tick can matter so much. For this algorithm, doing the really tight trades, it matters so much. It's a legit word. I didn't make it up. You didn't make it up for sure. And Gabby did take a trade, but it looks like she lost on that one. Oh, I'm surprised. She didn't take it short, did she? It should have been a long. She must have taken the long. Yeah, she must have taken the long and then got stopped out when it dumped the second time. I gotcha. So I think that Gabby has a really great edge, but it seems to me that she takes it too broad. Like I sitting here and trading it could take it in much narrower circumstances and filter it out a little bit, and it would be a really good trade, but you wouldn't get very many trades. It wouldn't even be one trade a day. When trading in milliseconds, yeah, a tick can be a lot. Yeah. Well, to put it a different way, there is a very large wealth of studies that show that the more you trade, the worse your portfolio does, particularly when you're talking about a stock portfolio, that more active traders do not get as good of a return. And I would argue that part of that is because you are, every time you make a move, you have an impact on the market, and that you lose efficiency from every trade that you make. So it will always be the case that the less you trade, the better your profits will be. Uzi says patience pays. Yeah. So if we are going to day trade, then we must acknowledge first that the stats are against us, that not only do people that day trade underperform, but the majority of day traders lose money. But if we are going to day trade, the less trades you can do with your strategy, I think the better. You don't want to come in and start clicking in there and just clicking to click because you think there's opportunity out there and you're just hopefully going to catch something. That doesn't work. Incorrect password says, or just trade longer time frames, or or just stay in. Hold on, I sense that you guys have many things to say about this, so I want to hear what you say to kind of see where we should focus on here.
Jack Feffy says it'd argue that it has to do with shorter time frames being more unlikely to be profitable due to competition from algos. Uzi Knesset says trading longer time frames requires more patience, lol. Incorrect password says if you want to learn how to jump off a runner, day trade.
So for me, I think it comes down to just an empirical fact that I don't think is talked about very often, that your expectancy goes up the longer you hold, right? And hence why I say that probably the optimal strategy that is like the most efficient in terms of like your risk reward and everything else is to just buy and hold indexes, right?
Brad Messerl says I agree. Jack Vaffy says absolutely.
See, here's the real conundrum with day trading. You want to make money. If you want the optimal the risk reward and versus money making potential and everything else, it is to buy and hold stocks and indexes. Okay, but most people do not have enough money to live month to month off of their index returns. Because what if it's a down day? You know, that sort of thing. So then comes day trading. And day trading is supposed to take on less risk or rather less return in exchange for a risk profile that allows you to pay the bills every month. But the result is in doing that, I think, that you take on too much leverage for most people, first of all. And then B, you end up trading on such a short time frame that it is very difficult to find an edge, and ergo, the vast majority of day traders lose money. Am I wrong? That's what I think happens.
Brad Messerl says the less I trade the better I do. Vlad Stolarov says and you can only make money during certain time or cycles IM market due to specific strategies. Uzi Knesset says you gotta think too. The average retail day trader isn't someone who's been in the game as long as we have. The average is probably closer to the Lambo dreams, dipshit working on blowing. Uzi Knesset says their eighth account. Jack Vaffy says human beings perform far better against computers in circumstances that involve long-term planning. I know this because I play a lot of chess.
So explain that one to me, Jack, because my impression from watching people in the chess world talk about this on TikTok, so it's not something that I see a ton of, but I've seen a video or two where they talk about it. And it seems to me like they know how the algorithms work and they exploit weaknesses in those algorithms specifically, but that there are computers, you know, like Big Blue, that if they given enough computation power can overcome those weaknesses. No?
RJ Wheel says less trades. Higher time frames. Winning.
See, I would argue that the problem is still that you want a more consistent return, right? Like even with swing trading, the thing that really bothers me about swing trading is that you get all of these people, they go and they swing trade and they've made money from doing it. And let's say that they've made money from using leverage. But when you actually analyze the statistics of the strategy, it's not that good. It's not that good, and their risk-adjusted returns are not good. It just fools you into thinking that you're doing good. But once you start trading on a higher time frame, where the overall movement is biased to the long side anyways, then you have to do more than just make money to justify trading.
Uzi Knesset says less trades is fine in itself. I trade for 4 to 5 hours a day, 5 days a week, and can have entire weeks where I don't trade.
Sure. But, so here's a couple of other things about the higher time frame thing. Pressuring yourself to trade can be very bad, for sure. I'm not so sure that I really want to touch this market. I'm not 100% sure why the market sold down there. I think that it may be because of them talking about the global minimum income tax, and all of the globalists this week are in on that. I don't know. Tommy Larson. There's no need to take risks overnight if one can trade. Well, I know there's lots of gaps up overnight. Cal says that's called finding alpha. Yeah. Anyways, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah. So there's now let's go back to the lower time frame, because I think that's where all of us are, right? Uzi was saying, yeah, but most people are not people that have been in the game as long as we have. I think Uzi's been in it much longer than myself, right? I've been doing this now for about 5 years, and I think Uzi's been doing it like 8 to 10, right? But if we just use me as a benchmark, what percentage of traders that have been trading as long as I have or more, going on year 15, yeah, that's okay. How many traders that you think have been actively trading as long as I have? I've been in the market way longer than I've been trading futures, but I've only been trading futures for like 4 or 5 years, right? What percentage of those traders do you think are profitable? Do you think? Because I think that it's probably still like 75%. Sunglasses, Steve. I think that the sunglasses end up making the character more than the hat, don't you think? So I say that probably 75% of day traders still lose money. So then I start going back and looking at, like, what are the real problems, you know? Well, here's one real problem that I see in day trading. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of results. I believe that is something that we all acknowledge. We have to acknowledge because the government mandates it, right? But I would go further to say that the ability of a time series data or data, let's say the ability of data from a time series to predict future price movements is extremely limited. Yeah? That is my main assertion that I've kind of been pushing from the channel for a long time. For anyone trading for under 10 years, all you know is bull. Okay, maybe. Undercapitalization, poor risk management, unrealistic expectations. Yeah. But I think that it's because people are trying to use time series data to predict the future when that data's ability to do that is not very good. Like, I've looked at some studies where they talk about like using the least squares method to generate a regression line and then predict the day's move in a stock, the next day's move in a stock. And they're showing, that there is some efficacy beyond what would be random. And when I actually look at it and I kind of like write my own strategies to do that and just look at stuff with a linear regression line on a daily basis, what you make with an algorithmic strategy based on that isn't very good. It doesn't perform poorly. It doesn't lose money, but it's not very good. New traders always want to seem to find the meaning of life in the market. There's the other side: good capitalization, good risk management, overcomplication. Well, there is a definite correlation between how much you care and how well you do. And the people that are like, green-eyed and always want to be in the market and they can't handle the weekends because they want to get back to trading, those are the people that are going to lose money, right? Because they're going to overtrade for sure. They are feeling the chemical effects that come from trading, the emotional ride that you get from trading, and they're addicted to that. Yeah. So let me pose a question to you. We're talking about analysis. If the ability of a time data from a time series is pretty limited in its ability to predict future price, so then that means if we're going to come and we're going to write an algorithm, okay, I don't want to use past price at all, right? So you come in, you have closes, open bracket of 0, close bracket. And then we're, like a moving average is taking those close prices over 5 bars, right? So if you're taking it over 5 bars, then what you're doing is you're trying to use past price to predict future price, which we know is very limited. So if you can't do that, if the only thing that you could access was the current price, you could only come in and you could say closes of 0, and that was it. How do you write an algorithm at that point? Because everything in the digital world, decision-making in the digital world, comes down to if statements of some sort, right? There's a comparison, and based on the result of that comparison, there is going to be an output that determines whether you enter a trade or not. So what is going to be the entry conditions if you can only use 0? If you can only use the current price, what do you compare against to take a trade? There's an answer to this. Think about it. Think about it. I know you guys are going to get it. Uzi, you watch a DOM for 10,000 hours and you know what a turning point looks like in order flow. The trick is that not every instance in which those slow events occur are actually turning points. Absolutely. The order book is BS, right? Well, I would argue with that incorrect password, but I think that one of the reasons why you hear that a lot is because people focus on the wrong things in the order book. The order book is BS. Trades being placed and the speed at which they're being placed are not. Yeah. So the reason why you hear so often that the order book is BS is because everybody thinks that, okay, you watch the order book and then you see a really big order show up somewhere, and then that's where it's going to go to. And then it goes up to there and, it turns out that it was a fake order, or there's an iceberg somewhere and you're like, oh, we got fooled. And then we say, okay, like the order book doesn't work. That's not the way that you should use the order book. And when the more that I understand about market making algorithms and the way that they use the order book, the more I learned that at least the major models that have been made public through scholarly research do not look at it that way. Yeah, well, but I know, so because it's true, you only see what you want to see. When you were at GS, you should know this. When I was at GS, all I know is that they all had DOMs and that they were all looking at the order book, and they had multiple columns showing them information about the order book. Yeah, I was in Goldman, but I didn't trade for them. I was in technology. So most of what I did was risk control systems and execution. So I understand a lot about how an order got from a client to the exchange and how we determined when something was going rogue and needed to be cut off. But I didn't know a whole lot about how their algorithms worked other than what the development lifecycle around those was, right? So that's a big thing that I've always noticed that really contradicts the retail day traders, or especially algorithmic traders, idea of how the market works. Because they think you're going to come in and you're going to find an inefficiency in the market and you're going to program it. And once you've found it, it's like it's always going to work and your work is done and you just sit back and make money on it. But the algorithms at Goldman Sachs changed every 4 weeks. And they had like a very regimented way of pushing through changes, in fact. And they changed every 4 weeks. Yeah, there you go. That's why I put volume and time frame analysis. It provides a framework for asymmetrical risk return so you can be profitable entering these events, despite not all of them. Yeah, you're using a past price, right? So if I come in here and I make a new script, new strategy, next example, generate. Make it really big. Here we are, we're on bar update, and I can say something like, if the close of 0 is greater than the close of 1, then we're moving up, enter long. That would be the most simple example of using a time series to make a trade. But what I'm saying is, you're only allowed to use the number 0. You can't say if the close of 0 is greater than the close of 1 or go further back or use any data from a previous bar. You can only use 0 right? You have a keyboard that doesn't have the other numbers. You can only put 0 in. How do you make an algorithm off of that? Think about it. What? Because you have to have some sort of an if statement, right? I don't care for the ever-present technical analysis versus order flow argument here. I use both thumbs and charts to look for opportunities in range extension breakdowns. Well, I should get more into the order book, but in terms of like talking about it with you guys and what I think matters, but I'm trying to figure out a way to make this point to help you guys get the revelation that I'm trying to lead you to here. I only know math, not programming. Okay, but do you understand what this statement here says? If the close of the current bar is higher than the close of the previous bar, then we're trending up and you go long. That is a strategy. Okay, how do you write a strategy if you can't use the 1? You can only use a 0. You can only use the current bar. How do you do that? So you have current price in your instrument. What are you going to compare against to decide if you're going to take a trade? Okay. You look at the order flow is one possible solution. Okay, so you could look at the imbalance between buys and sells in the actual order book at that exact moment. Okay, that's true, Jack. That is true. I will tell you, though, that when you're using that order book and you compare, like, any comparison that you do on those, that their actual correlations to something, so far, my investigation into that suggests that that's not very effective either. I'm still working on it, but here with Jay, you add a filter on based on what the order book imbalance is. In the E-mini, it's not very effective because sometimes the imbalance is perfect and it's in line with the trend perfectly, and sometimes it's like exactly the wrong thing. And when each of those conditions are, that you should be doing which one, I don't know. It must be a complicated system, but I haven't been able to figure that one out. So let's just come back and assume that we aren't allowed to use the on-market data or on market depth functions. We can only use on bar update. We can only use on bar update, which is essentially limits us to only using instrument price. Then what else could we use to formulate a comparison that wouldn't use a previous price? Give us the answer already. We're lazy, and who wants the magic pill? I know, right? Okay. So here's what I think you can do. You can come in here and you can say add data series. Right? Right? And then instead of saying the close of 0, I say closes a 0, 0. That would be the current data series versus closes of 1, 0. Well, okay, I guess that I used a 1. But do you get what I'm saying? You can compare the current price against the price of other instruments' current price, right? And now that's the only way to be doing an analysis that only involves current prices. Oh, did you say that earlier? I missed it, Kyle. No, you're right. I figured that as soon as you wrote NQ, yeah. I can compare another instrument. Okay. So let's just shelf that for a second. I'll let you think about that one. If you're only using current prices, then your comparisons are all going to have to be against other instruments. Okay. So what we're really talking about is like here in the treasuries. Oh, geez, look, the 10-year has moved up a solid, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ticks. But the 30-year has barely moved up any at all. So there is some steepening going on, right? There's some steepening going on. And you could use the fact that it is steepening to inform your trade, right? Then where does the order book come into play in that? Well, your position in the queue ends up mattering a ton in that at that point, right? Because you're talking about like ticks, two correlated instruments. The difference between them is only going to be a tick or two. And if you're coming in and saying, well, based on what I compared this to the other instrument, I believe that this instrument should be one tick lower, so I'm going to sell it, then where I can be in the order book matters to catch it, right? So here at the moment, in the 10-year, based on how much volume is going through right now, how likely am I to get 3,400 contracts to trade into me? Kind of hard right now, right? So I need to wait. I need to be able to see orders going both ways and enough volume that would go through those queues that I would get my fills, right? And that the flow is balanced, that I'd be able to get it on both sides of it. Right. So if I'm looking at that, then and where I can get filled, where is it that I'm going to get filled? That's going to be in the places where the latent liquidity ends up being less, right? Or the resting liquidity ends up being less. Okay. So now all of a sudden, an area where there is less liquidity matters a lot, right? Which is why I say everybody looks for the wrong thing in the order book. And it's not even necessarily the fault of the educators. I would say, the educators, they do talk about the icebergs and the big orders and things like that a lot, because those are the things that are like the most obvious to the new person and so forth. But those aren't the things that I believe provides the edge. No, Kyle says you can use zero data for other instruments or events. Yeah, if you can't use past price, you can only use data from outside the instrument at that point, right? You could use data from other instruments, you could use news, that sort of a thing, but you wouldn't be able to, otherwise you literally can't make a strategy at that point, right? But yeah, so this where the order book matters. And that's where I would say there are some patterns that you can see in order book that I would even argue are I'm kind of now at this point talking about a time series sort of a thing. But there's one thing in particular that I see that happens pretty consistently, and that is that if there is an area of lower liquidity, they tend to return back to that area over and over again. They get stuck by it. And this is just a function of the order book. It's unavoidable. And that's the closest I think I get to saying that where past price can really truly be indicative of future price. Everything else beyond that, now we take it one step further, okay? Like we can allow more and more time series types of trades, right? One thing that I've noticed is in terms of correlation. So if you're going to say that current price is indicative of future price, then you need to, there's one of two things. There's only two ways that it can be indicative, right? Either there's a high degree of autocorrelation in the market, or there's a high degree of mean reversion in the market. And this is the ultimate problem of all technical analysis, is being able to tell whether you are in a mean reverting or trending market, right? But that's where I would argue that then you can use the context and the order book and the price of other instruments and all of these other things to make some conclusions about what kind of a market we're in, and then whether or not you can actually take a mean reverting or a trending strategy. What you're talking about is actually called price aggression. Sure. Well, like how much volume is coming through there? Yeah. But you know, if you were going to trade something for, you know, a tick because of a mispricing that you see, you're not going to do it without the order book. Nope. And I would argue that the other things that we look at in the order book, from my investigation, they work better than pure technical strategies based purely on price. In my own back testing, they work better, but that they still don't perform as well as retail traders would like. That's been the results of my investigations. Okay, so on the open, there was a little bit of selling. Let's come in here. There was a little bit of selling like right on the open, but in the end, it didn't end up being a ton, and price is just kind of chopping around here. I would say that the amount... Okay. Well, something just happened there. Somebody just came in and smacked them down. That was a really ugly sell event, wasn't it? Oh my gosh. Look at the effect of the cumulative delta of that move. Now, that might not necessarily tell us that we're going to go down. That becomes an area then that with low liquidity, right? No, you got stopped out? Man. That looked like a news-based move for sure. Fauci says something. I see a bunch of people on Twitter talking about Fauci all of a sudden. Well, it looks like I'm not going to get the... well, I'm just stop out of this one. This looks like it's going to happen to me. I wonder if that was maybe more of the Archegos block selling. No, they're turning bullish again off of that. A pretty fair amount of buying coming into it too. I'm gonna move this over here. Oh, did Brandon take a one on the nose too? My algorithm's not doing so well today. Don't trade the way, trade the outcome. It's the same thing. You're still making a comparison between past price, right? I'm still kind of in a situation where I'm not so sure that my trades have very good probability. There was kind of a little bit of an opportunity with that one, but it didn't turn out, so. This guy, Zero Hedge is retweeting GreekFire23 saying Goldman CEO on CNBC touting his risk controls, LOL. It credits Swiss, hey guys, do this together. Nobody wants to get hurt. No Mura, no. Yeah, there's no I in Team Goldman. We agree. Teamwork on 3. Goldman, Larry, you got 3 minutes to hit every bit or you're fat. That is not what happened. Bryce is changing. Wow. No, it's not moving very much. It's not moving very well today, comparatively speaking. So, that's just not what happened. I can just straight up tell you, because I've worked on these systems, that the way that Goldman's risk systems work means that they know what their exposure is to this sort of a thing a lot better than these other banks do. And they know what their impact on the market is going to be more than the other people do. And that leads to them making decisions sooner than other people do. And if they came to the other banks and said, hey, this is what we're seeing, and then the other banks were like, didn't do anything, then that's their own downfall. Why price is changing doesn't matter. Disagree. Totally incorrect. Because you're limiting yourself to a certain piece of information. You're saying, I can only use the time series data of the instrument that I'm trading. Why would you limit yourself like that? Right? When you put it in a programmatic perspective about the data that you're getting and how you're using that data, like, it really changes the whole perspective, right? And then at that point, it's like, well, why wouldn't I use that data? And we've kind of been able to create a hierarchy, right? Current data matters the most. If there's current data on a news event that's hitting the market, that's moving price, that matters a lot. That's useful. That's really useful information that I wouldn't discount, that I wouldn't ignore. Well, they're just moving up now. They're going to break the high. Well, the high from before the market opened, I guess. There's still this seller out there. There was a little bit of people bailing there. A little bit of an well, actually, that's interesting. That might have been a short puking. Carl Quintilla posting a tweet, in case you're wondering who's selling stock in this market, via Goldman analysis, and it shows quarterly U.S. equity issuance by deal type. So, and converts is the highest. So I don't know what that means, but I think that he's suggesting that companies are selling stock. Shark in the water? Yeah, I don't know. I kind of think that what might have happened was a lot of people tried trading off of that like I did, and now it's kind of sorting itself out. I don't know if that means trend up day or what. They don't seem to be having any trouble finding market buy volume, though. Treasuries seem to be okay. Oh man, now the sleepiness, like that, it's hitting all of a sudden, hitting me that like, yeah, you know what, you're not very well rested today. So you gotta be careful about the guy. Like, I'm tempted to just straight buy it right there at 67, and I bet you it probably does go higher, but I don't know if that's a good price to try and pick. There's some absorption there. Meghan McCain calls on Matt Gaetz to resign. There have always been weird rumors about Matt Gaetz on Capitol Hill. There's rumors you should resign. Okay. He may end up resigning as of yet, but I don't think that that's probably enough to trigger it. Oh, yeah, you're right. They said the same about Jared from Subway. It could. I mean, they could be true for sure. Yeah, I'm unsure at the moment because I don't know. Like normally it would just be like, oh, here's allegations, and then they're coming out, and yeah, they'll almost surely be confirmed and further. But this one, it's like he has a defense, and it seems like awfully suspicious, and I don't know if I believe him. And I just don't know. And I think the only conclusion that I can come through is that I don't really know what he did or didn't do. And that would just kind of have to sit and watch what happens on it, right? This one is a little bit... There's a couple of things about this particular scandal seem different. Okay, so they've come back about a point. It's still a solid amount of volume in the 67 area. The cumulative delta is not just taking off, so it looks like there's still some people selling here. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, a Trump ally with his eyes on the White House, is dialing up a dispute with 60 Minutes, seizing on a chance to ingratiate himself with the GOP base by bashing the media. I'm really starting to think that DeSantis will be the next GOP nominee. it's like way too early to call something like that, but it just seems like nobody else comes even close. You have to see, you could like get on the campaign trail and just totally flop. That happens so often.
Block by.
So I'm thinking here on this that 5 seconds is not enough. So I'm going to go to 15. Good morning, Bill. Where you been? You're usually in here first thing. Busy with the nephew? I gotcha. Credit Suisse is leaning towards letting clients foot the bill for eventual losses in funds that the bank ran with former billionaire Lex Greenseal's company, according to a source. Things don't sound so good for Credit Suisse, do they? ECB's Wunsch, I don't know how to pronounce that. Household savings are enough to finance 3 to 5 years of strong consumption. Yeah, you mean he's back up there on the high again? Still a lot of volume to push through, but they do appear to be buying. Okay, so that's interesting. So the first thing I'm noticing is that with this power meter, it does filter the one but not the other one. All trades. Yeah, gotcha. Okay, so there's a new high. I am getting the clear here, actually. You kind of find out what kind of market this is actually going to be here now. Okay. That's a good amount of volume coming in here above 4069. I'm going to give it a little bit of room to breathe on the upside here in case it does. May just have to get out there though. Okay. So I see that if we're going to turn into a real update, that there's probably still some negative delta that could come out on the upside. But I am catching a little whiff that turn there might be more than just, a little pullback. So Charles Gasparino breaking hedge funds digesting Senate parliamentarians' ruling on reconciliation, pricing even more spending by Dems who don't want to repeat the quote-unquote austerity of 2010 when they last had power. Watching for spike in commodities and inflation trade and yield curve suppression. So that I think is an important note. So we already noted that the parliamentarian said they could use reconciliation and that a lot of fund managers are expecting that Democrats are going to increase taxes. And now we are getting some word that the big players do see the parliamentarian allowing that reconciliation to be used more than once as significant. Spike in commodities, you say, well, I mean, look at the, so right now the dollar is getting crushed, gold is up, oil is up, copper is up. I mean, what is not net change up on the day? Well, NQ and YM are still doing poorly. RTY is, so that's kind of interesting. I think, yesterday the techs really outperformed and that might be holding them back today. That might be all there is to that, but we'll see. The 6J is up. Euro is up. I would say Bitcoin is up, but it's not really significant. Gold up. Oh, there's another one of those events. Well, if it's been anything like the last ones, you just ignore it because they just keep pushing after that. But copper's up, soybeans are up, corn is up, and these are all up actually copper is down. Copper is down 0.5% still. Other than copper, and the thing is that copper is going to be driven primarily from China, and if China is backing off of liquidity injection, then that's going to hurt copper. But everything that I think would be affected by, the fiscal situation in the United States is on the move up and suggesting inflation, right? Sure seems like it. Forex Live says USD JPY reaches a 50% midpoint and finds some profit taking after the quick move lower. Okay, well, they did the JPY did kind of top off just now. So still some significant volume coming through in here, and the cumulative delta is negative. Glad I re-entered long on the ES. I don't know, man. It's still kind of hinting that they could flip back around. Oh, we do get some news here, by the way. So we're getting what? JOLTS jobs openings 6.995 million, and the actual is 7.367. So good, I guess. And what about we get consumer inflation expectations at 9. I'm not going to be around for that because I have to leave in an hour. That, I guess, would be a particularly important number for us to keep an eye on given the situation, huh? Incorrect backward says no crypto today. You know what? The cryptocurrency market has been incredibly boring the past few weeks. Given that we're still up near the 60K level, I suspect that means we will probably move higher, but I don't have any kind of data to suggest that kind of a prediction would be effective. That's just kind of my read. I don't know how effective it would be, but it seems to me that when Bitcoin comes up to a level and it sits there for a long time, that eventually they push through it. But until they do, Bitcoin has just been really boring. Okay, Jake Sherman, what could Democrats do with another reconciliation bill? A lot, potentially. For instance, they could try to pass Senator Sanders' proposal to lower the qualifying age for Medicare to 55 or 60. Oh, what? Really? They want to do that? Oh my gosh. Like, you realize that in some countries they're increasing the eligibility age, right? So the E-mini's still just kind of chugging along here. I'd say, like, compared to yesterday, it's very quiet, volume-wise. Jake Sherman, but this isn't a silver bullet. This doesn't mean Senator Joe Manchin is going to agree with every priority. You still need 50 votes under reconciliation. This isn't a magic wand to get HR 1 or gun control through the chamber. Oh my gosh. If they pushed through gun control on reconciliation, that would be so toxic. That would be so toxic for politics, man. This reconciliation thing is kind of makes me wonder, like, thing is like my major political blogs haven't said anything about the reconciliation. I would like to read more about the actual legal opinion of it. Is it really allowed? Because I thought that the rules were that you could only use it once a year. So there they are sitting at the high, not taking it yet. I kind of wonder if the reason why RTY has been well, I mean, it's outperforming today, but then YM is actually negative. But I wonder if these differences between the indexes that we've been seeing over the past 2 days has to do with taxes. Because definitely I would think that companies like Google, well, man, I don't know. I mean, I don't think that taxes would be a significant part of Google's or Amazon. Let's use Amazon. Would taxes dramatically affect Amazon's profits? I don't think so. I think that they're more about growth, but at the same time, they're not paying any taxes, and they're probably one of the players that ends up paying the most off of any kind of tax law change, right? It's just how much does that affect their stock price if their stock is mostly about growth? I don't know. It has some effect for sure. I guess I'm seeing all the tweets about the S&P 500 touching a record high. There's a little bit of a sell there. Again, cumulative delta still negative. What do we get on the VIX? Okay, so... Oh, wait, we already touched it? That can't be right. 4070. 4071.50. So, are we going to have a blowout day up to 4100? That doesn't seem realistic to me. Okay. Would more taxes strengthen or weaken the dollar? Good question. I think it could actually weaken it because you might see capital fly out of the US to avoid taxes, right? I suppose we would have to look very much at the proposals. Probably would have a lot to do with proposal specifics. snowing up in the mountains today here in Utah, apparently. I wish I had gone and checked my VIX numbers before I would have taken the 20, but now that it's come back, I was going to come back 50% on me. I think I got to take it. Not that that has any correlation to what's going to happen in the future, but so they're kind of towards the bottom of this upper volume area. So kind of a support, but let's see if they decide to slip through, because I think that they could slip from 70 down to 68 very easily. You know, the past few days we've had times, we've had this thing where the cumulative delta is negative, but the indexes move up. And that's what we're seeing happen right now. But it's certainly different today. Like, they're just not getting as much. It seems like the selling is holding them back a lot more today. Contractionary policies usually weaken the currency and lower demand for imports. Table 1 shows a decrease in GDP overall. You know what's going to be funny is the Congressional Budget Office is going to do their estimate, and I don't think that it's going to be favorable to the changes that the Democrats want. That'll be one that'll come through. So I think that will show that it will decrease GDP, especially the ones that the Democrats want. I have a hard time seeing how that doesn't have a negative effect on the economy in the short term. Well, do I want to short it? I'm awfully tempted here. Tepid sell there. You can see somebody playing with the offer at 40.72. It looks like they filled him. So I'm kind of keeping an eye on this 6J. Kind of looks like it might want to come back a bit. Do you know who Clark is in the Discord? He seems to be ridiculously good in the Discord. Well, so he's been in Discord for a while. I honestly haven't paid too much attention to it. I haven't spoken with him before or anything. I would be really careful about just completely accepting any results that people post. Even, oh, could you hear my daughter spelling in the background? What? I couldn't even hear that. I didn't even know what they were saying. Anyways, I wouldn't take any results that people show you at face value unless they're showing you like, you know, a really long time period of their trading, you know? Because it's very often when you say, because you said scalping, and that's the thing that immediately sets my off as like, well, they could be taking on excessive risk, right? So, you know. But I have to go back and look at the stats again. But I think that Clark is one of the more, he's been around for a long time, and he's one of the more active guys. But I don't follow the equity index's channel as closely as I probably should, other than making sure that there's no shenanigans going on. But I don't like look at everybody's trades and try and figure out who's doing well and who's not. So there's still a lot of clicky up here, right? It seems like maybe offers they want to get filled or something. I'm not sure. Cool. Yeah, people definitely come and go. Uzi was talking about Ace earlier. I don't know if he's just not going to come back or not. I think that would be really odd if he just didn't come back. But what are you going to do about it? Because I feel bad about it because obviously I'm attached, but I've been through that before. I know what the bad things to do and be stupid about it and not. And so we just kind of have to let him do his thing, and hopefully he comes back. But people come and go, especially in the world of trading, right? Well, they're kind of chomping at it like they want to go for a little bit higher now. You know, that last trade, I suppose I could have held it for longer and been more patient with it. But even with this action here, it's not really the kind of volume that I think I really want to see on a trade. Well, there's a level break set up right there. I don't know if that power meter is actually giving me every trade. Maybe it is. Seems close. Just hold that up for a while and see if over time they converge. Okay. Well, you see the level break set up there in the treasury. That might be. I think that one is going to play through. But you got to be careful about that setup. It can be a 50-50. I think that we have enough uptrend to suggest that it will go through, but nothing wrong with following the trend. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just kind of I'm not going to say it's always going to work. Trend is your friend until it ends. No fill, huh? Well, I would say it's still a really slow churn in the ES. The Treasury is coming back there after taking the high. Okay. Regained that high pretty easily. Still a good amount of volume up there. You can see a good amount of buy side absorption at 40.47 there. So this kind of looks like the level break setup in the E-mini too. They're just going to smash those offers. No. Okay, so I can confirm here that they are different. Even though it's not filtered, so that's kind of weird. This one is consistently showing higher volumes, so. Okay, there's the bust that I wanted to see. Now this one has the background coloring. I forget what did that mean? Display. Oh yeah, the sweeps have the different background color. I don't really need to have, I'm just going to minimize it. I don't really need to see that. The power meter is what I want to see. So pretty solid level break setup there, but I don't know. They're not like super excited about it. Michelle Caruso Cabrera is campaigning again, and she's going to campaign for 24 hours straight. Okay. Is that against Ocasio-Cortez? Where? No, because she just ran. I don't know. I wonder where she's running. Zero Hedge tweets. Job openings soar to 2-year high as labor market starts overheating. Hey guys, do you think that Zero Hedge is maybe concerned that there could be inflation in the future? Because, I mean, I don't know, like, could just be me, my confirmation, but it seems to me like Zero Hedge is concerned about inflation to some extent. Who would call me spam risk? No thanks. Just, you know, just kind of seems to me maybe. Well, I don't like that at all. The bust higher, and then they're coming back to the area that was the support, and it was a little too easy for them to pierce through that. More like zero inflate. Oh yeah, I got you. Listen, I'm always up for a good pun, but I don't know if that was I don't know. I'll give it like a 3 out of 10. So it wasn't the worst joke I've ever heard, but yeah. Right choice right there. Okay, if that's what we're gonna do, how much was that? These cells are getting a little weird, don't you think? That was like 2,000-3,000 contracts just all at once off of that high when we noticed that they were, kind of piercing through. Now, they didn't bust the support at 71, but I mean, that's just wild. And I'm not so sure that the market can continue its uptrend off of that, especially since they already reached the upside VIX target. So treasuries are pushing up again. So you can kind of see the support there, 4071.25. It's 1,300 traded. Well, somebody smashed through them and that left a huge offer behind as they went. So that was pretty aggressive. I'm not getting the vacuum effect down yet. Hey, Win, there you are. How have you been? I was wondering where you were. So I didn't see you yesterday. Oh, wait, did we see her yesterday? I don't recall. I don't remember seeing her yesterday. Usually she's not around on Monday. So some aggressive selling, they're trying to break it, but that time it not going. Oil still doing pretty good today. Dollar's still kind of where it was though, even though yen's backed off quite a bit, but the dollar doesn't seem to be terribly upset by it. Treasury's still looking good, like maybe you could buy 16 and it smash it up again. So it looks like they could totally do that. You're not getting very good volume coming through in the treasury still, though. Okay, here's the E-mini trying again. That time a couple more people chasing it. I'm super focused on the price action right now. Well, I do say the cumulative delta in the E-mini is like falling off of a cliff, but I still see people trying to hold it up with buys. Let's see here. I am good. Little spring cleaning, so I slept in yesterday. Gotcha. Oh, yeah. It is that time of year. I cleaned out my garage. The garage is looking better. It's still a long ways to go. Still probably about halfway of getting that all cleaned out and nice for my workouts. I mean, I can work out in it. It's just not like a very pleasant place because there's so much junk storage, you know. They're trying to find a way to like store things in like ceiling crates with like, you know, like a rope that you can hoist it up and down or something like that. So you see that? Well, look at how much selling there's been here through here. And so far, price in the 4071, 4070 area holding. The Winklevi twins share prediction for Facebook's future from Forbes magazine. What? If I was them, I just wouldn't talk about Facebook. You know what I mean? Okay, well, when you've been in a trade for about 10 minutes and the E-mini's still not moving, like if they ever do break that downside, this thing is going to crash, but I don't know if they can do it. It kind of looks like they're not going to. Oil continuing through 60 now. Oil looks really strong here. Well, I don't know if we're ever going to get a good trade today. We're still kind of stuck with our initial bad trade. Yeah, if it breaks the downside, it's going to get crushed. Well, if this isn't Seth predicting future prices with historic, it's true. But you can see, look what it's moved up so far. Wow, they came back there quickly. I don't know. This is the thing is, like the bigger thing that I can see at the moment is that I'm not getting enough volume to really be able to take the kind of trade that I want. And yet I still have this inkling that like it's going to move, that it's going to retrace this thing. But I don't really actually know that, do I? I just know there's this spot with a low liquidity air zone that if they break it, could act as a magnet to pull them back down very quickly. Right? You can see even that time, they get back down there very quickly after I give up on it. Still shying away from it. You convinced me to raise my stop loss. I really don't know what I was going to do. I'll be out for the day if we break down. Oh, okay, well. Don't tell me that. Now I feel responsible. You shouldn't change your trading based off of things I say. I don't know. Hopefully we learn things, but none of what I just said there was empirical, right? Well, I guess it is empirical that there was less volume traded at 40.68. Well, now that's curious. Getting stuck there at 70.5. That's not what I wanted. Okay. Oh. Volume's looking a little bit more healthy all of a sudden. I'm noticing that the resting liquidity is not looking as good now, by the way. Like, the insides are like only 50 to 100 contracts now sometimes. And quite a bit earlier, it was more like, it was a lot more, let's just say. Also, we're coming up 15 minutes left, and then I've got to get going. So we should say the ES hits new high, or equity indexes hit new high, but momentum slows. That's what I'm thinking today's title should be, even though that's a terrible title and nobody will ever click that. Yeah, I'm not gonna. We still got 15 minutes. I'll shut it down at like 8:55. Make sure I turn on my other machine. I need to rearrange that thing over there. It's all stuck. Oh, new height, new highs, new high. Hits new highs. Hit indexes hit new highs, but momentum slows. There we go. So we got a market that's still generally trending up, but it's starting to become really difficult to trade. Yeah, there's the Yada. If you haven't checked out Yada, you guys, it's fun. And it, free money. So check it out. It's a savings account. I love it. Iceberg? Oh, I didn't notice. My inventory cost basis model's kind of showing some weird stuff today. I mean, it all rose up, but then it's staying in between the two bands too. A little bit of an excursion our way. Volume not as good as it was though when we originally took the trade. Iceberg the other way now too. I don't know. We may just have two really big guys that are just kind of coming to an agreement on a spot now. They came down to the bottom. Not a lot of people looking to sell that 70, interestingly enough. Is this the Winston report? Well, she posts a lot of stories. Usually there are things, well, not usually, but a lot of them are ones that we have already covered. But she tends to find good news. Treasury's still moving up. It might push down. I would think at some point that somebody would try and giving it a little shove. But you saw there at 4070, even the small traders weren't really all that anxious to hit it. Like, look, we got 56 orders hit it at 4070. I don't know. I have a good spot in the line, though. That's good. So I did kind of try and make a read based on the volume that was going through and where I could potentially position on that one. So you can see that it definitely helped me. But the tolerances are still very tight, aren't they? Especially when it starts icing like it is here. That can be really frustrating, right? Okay, well, I finally filled it, so good deal. No silver and gold comment. Well, gold is up today. I wouldn't say that it's excessively so, but it looks like that this market is trading off of inflation. It seems like the market themes are changing, right? It seems like the market theme is changing, and that the Federal Reserve is pumping money into the economy. It is not such an overwhelmingly dominant factor anymore that there's concerns out there about higher taxes and less liquidity from China and the possibility, the specter of inflation. So, I don't know. Inflation fears away. It seems like that's what's happening. Could be wrong. Seems that's what's happening. So we'll see. Maybe they turn down later today. I don't know. It's been a long time since we've had a day like this, right? And not only that, but the thing that is making it difficult because I've been looking for this kind of a market for a while and wanting to be able to play it, but they had a strong uptrend first. So that kind of made it difficult. But otherwise, I think we could try playing this, like maybe 40.72 and a quarter again, and then back down to the other side again. We'll see. I think markets are adjusting for inflation. I think it's a strong possibility. All right, guys. Well, I better get going. I'll see you guys tomorrow. And in the meantime, stay profitable, friends.